Two people with very large internet presences are fighting right now, and that fight is taking attention away from the very important reason that the fight started in the first place. Also, please don't pay attention to how I look in this video. Like, I just got home from work and I'm too tired to change. I don't dress like a nerd in my spare time. Just don't look at me. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me here today. I hope you enjoy the video. I couldn't do it. Felt like I couldn't breathe. The premise of this fight has so much backstory to it and so much key information that it would take me 100 years to explain all of it to you. So I'm going to do my best to dilute everything to just the key pieces of information that we need in this story today. J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter. I'm kidding, there's more to it, but that basically could be it. The Harry Potter books were very formative to a lot of people, and the generation who is still emotionally connected to that world often hailed J.K. Rowling as the most influential author of all time. The unanimously positive feedback that J.K. Rowling received was ingrained into her personality and perception for a time, until the younger generations who read the book developed critical thinking skills, and upon some minor reflection, saw a lot of issues with how the story was written. Just for an example, there are a lot of side characters who are lazily stereotyped, there's pointed language about how the invasive women are described as manly, and if your book has an Asian character named Cho Chang and a black character named Kingsley Shacklebolt, then you are not worth defending. That shit is rough. Then J.K. Rowling decided to one-up herself and create the most villainous enemy to her story ever conceivable. And this time it wasn't some bald snake man. This time, it was her Twitter. J.K. Rowling's Twitter used to be a place where she'd just shout out needless add-ons to her stories like, Dumbledore was gay the whole time, or Hagrid was a kleptomaniac, or Dobby represented IBS or something. I don't know, she wanted a lot of credit, I guess. And it was kind of funny to see, but for the most part, her Twitter could just be regarded as this author who wasn't ready to leave the world she had created and was just trying to stay attached to it. And that could have been it, but nope. One day, JK just sits down, takes a deep breath, and goes, I'm gonna triple down on the transphobia. That's the hill that I'm gonna die on. JK had always been perceived as a radical feminist. She's been public about her history with abusive men, and she uses her past experience as talking points for fighting for the rights of women. Not to diagnose a stranger, but JK's transphobia seems to stem from this, as she cannot understand why women would ever want to be men, and she cannot see trans women as they identify and insists on regarding them as men. This should go without saying, but trans people have more than enough on their plate than to deal with some British woman who wrote a children's book one time, who lives in a castle, tweeting about how, the sanctity of womanhood is under threat, or whatever. Trans people deserve rights. They're human beings. J.K. Rowling can eat shit for disagreeing. So that's basically the J.K. Rowling half of this story. We have this once beloved children's book author who has now become a figurehead for radical feminists who exclude trans people, or TERFs. Her Twitter is now a cesspool for her transphobia, which she adamantly defends to this very day. There are a lot of incredible videos made by much more qualified creators than me, and if you want a more in-depth look at J.K. Rowling and her corrosive rhetoric around trans people, I highly recommend checking these out. Checking these out? I fucked up the shout out. So then, on the holy day of International Women's Day, as you might expect, J.K. Rowling was furiously promoting her anti-trans agenda. International Women's Day should be a day that we appreciate all women, including trans women, but to JK, this was just another opportunity to talk about how, they're an invasive species trying to become the beautiful goddesses that we are. I can't do British accents, but you get it. And this is where the second party in this internet fight comes in. He is a leftist content creator / streamer who's very well known, who I am not going to name by name. I promise I'm not doing it to be edgy, and I know most of you likely already know who I'm talking about, but I want to diminish his role in this story. It's important to talk about how he plays into it, but I think he would agree that he's not this pivotal role in this discussion, so I'm going to do my best to try and not invoke his name. Also, just like the last leftist streamer we talked about, it's a dangerous pattern, this guy's audience actually terrifies me. If I'm going to put it politely, they are intense. And I don't want to invoke any harm onto me or my community. So I'm just going to avoid it. Like, I would rather piss off K-pop fans than this streamer's audience. But back to the story, J.K. Rowling is just tweeting her river of shit on International Women's Day, including garbage like this. Under a Labour government, today will become We Who Must Not Be Named Day. Lady, you stole Ben Shapiro's one joke. He's not going to appreciate that. So Rowling is being Rowling on Twitter, and people are taking note of it. So it's become this topic of conversation. And this streamer chimes in, tweeting, all J.K. Rowling had to do was shut the fuck up and she could have been uncritically beloved for a century. This is pretty true. I think it's common knowledge that she ruined her reputation with transphobic rhetoric. Oh, hang on, there's a bit more. Women be quieter and start apologizing challenge. And that is how Discourse is born. I went into this clinging on to my good faith criticism, so I can understand that this tweet is an attempt at humor. Rowling loves the feminist talking point that women should be loud and unapologetic, and so this streamer took her words and put a spin on them as a dig at her. Like, it's an attempt at a joke. But at the same time, if you divorce all context from this tweet, I can see how it might make some people uncomfy. It's kind of a sharp statement to make, isn't it? I'm familiar enough with this streamer's sense of humor to know that he often engages in edgy humor with his audience, and this tweet, because it wasn't a reply to Rowling, was likely just for his fans to kind of laugh with themselves. Like, you might look at it and say, oh, rough tweet, but it was likely made without any sexist intent, just for his fans to appreciate. It just might not look that way from an outside perspective. And J.K. Rowling locked onto that shit like a missile. J.K. took a screenshot of that tweet and reposted it, saying, what you and your ilk fail to appreciate is how tediously familiar I find your tactics. I had a violent ex-husband who used to tell me life would be great if only I'd comply, but you're making the same mistake he did. Women like me can't be bullied out of resistance. This is a pattern that Rowling falls into often. She cherry picks the criticism she gets and goes after the ones that are not very eloquently stated. She loves it when her critics stoop to easy insults because to her, that's fuel to add to the fire to tell her audience, we are the superior side in this argument. There are a lot of beautifully well thought out and well articulated breakdowns of J.K. Rowling's flimsy rhetoric that kind of reveals them to be the fear-based ghost stories that they are. But Rowling either ignores them, doesn't seek them out, or just intentionally refuses to share them because they're credible and valid, and that doesn't help her. Rowling cares a lot about her optics or how she's perceived, and is very selective on what she shares to her audience. And I know for a fact that's why she chose this streamer's comment to highlight. It's not a cohesive argument or valid critique because it wasn't trying to be. It's a joke tweet made to an audience that he assumed would know he's joking, and he did not plan for J.K. Rowling to see it and use it against him. Because of this, people abandoned the conversations about J.K. Rowling's transphobia, which might have been productive, in favor of talking about her beefing with this streamer. Initial reactions were just like, whoa, who could have expected this? This is crazy that they're interacting. But then things got harmful really quickly. Like, the discourse started way too fast and way too strong. Like, it was genuinely kind of upsetting to see things go this way so soon. This streamer has a long list of allegations against him, and Rowling's fans are now spreading those allegations as if they are proven fact, which Rowling is herself liking and supporting. It helped her audience be like, look at the other side, which helped affirm their beliefs that JK is their chosen one wizard or something, whatever. Now, this streamer was very upset about his joke being taken out of context because as a debate streamer, he takes his words very seriously, and this did not make him happy. He's not backing down in his reaction of being jokingly rude to a bigot, and he says that caring about the optics of his tweet is a waste of time. Meanwhile, trans people are voicing their concerns online about this streamer becoming the figurehead of their argument, especially because JK has refused to engage with valid critiques from trans people. And they're saying that his tweet is making them look worse, even if it was ironic. If you ask me, this story is very tricky to navigate because by engaging with it as if it is J.K. Rowling versus a streamer is buying into the narrative that J.K. Rowling wants you to engage with. She chose his comment to highlight likely because she knew it would distract us from her transphobia and any valid critiques we might give her or her supporters. And now people are fighting about this streamer, which is, it's a waste of time, I think. I really don't know if anyone's mind is getting changed by anything. Even though I think we can all tell that this tweet was made as a joke, I don't blame anyone for feeling upset or uncomfortable by it because this topic is touchy for a lot of people and sexism is not always something people want to joke about. But because the streamer has a massive audience and is considered an influencer with pro-trans agendas, it was the perfect ammunition for J.K. Rowling to use, and it's just very unfortunate for the people involved that this is what the narrative was focusing on instead of, I don't know, real issues. But addressing the real issues is not good for J.K. Rowling's optics, and instead it's making the other side look bad. So she jumped on this opportunity, and I don't know, it's upsetting. That might just be it. It's upsetting. And I think it's fair for this streamer to be upset too, but his fans, yes, the ones I'm scared of, are now using this to defend their comfort streamer of choice, and they are attacking the trans people who are voicing their discomfort with this streamer becoming the face of their argument. And that's not productive. I think we should be able to take constructive criticism against our creators of choice without, I don't know, playing into J.K. Rowling's evil plans. I just think that this fight is made so much more complex by J.K. Rowling's selective manipulation of the truth, this streamer's defiance towards the criticism he's receiving, and just the audiences who are clashing with one another in an argument that should have been about trans rights and is now just not. Now, throughout this video, I've said the word optics a lot. It might even be in this title. I don't know. And that's not because I just learned about that word and I want to show how smart I am by overusing it in a sentence. I'm actually being specific about that because I think it's very relevant here. Optics plays heavily into why JK chose this tweet to highlight, especially because it comes from a streamer with such a past of allegations. To her audience, it is very affirming that they are right, and JK is almost using it as propaganda with her own fan base. This streamer also specifically references optics when he is critiqued by his own fans for this tweet. He says that they are too concerned with looking good and that they're so afraid of leftism looking mean that they won't attack a transphobic bigot. I just think this entire situation is unfortunate. I hate how JK escalated this discussion in order to benefit her, and then it became this debate about optics and how we are perceived, and I don't know, that wasn't really how I wanted things to go. I think because the narrative of this story shifted onto J.K. Rowling versus this streamer, we kind of abandoned any potential at healthy discussions on how to address budding transphobia. And that could have been helpful for some people. J.K. Rowling refuses to engage with any kind of rhetoric that doesn't affirm her fears, so I'm going to say it. I think she might be a lost cause. I don't think there was any hope in this discourse of convincing her that trans people are people, just like regular humans. I think she's so high up in her castle made of money that we can't reach her, and it's unfortunate. And part of me does feel bad for her and that she can never accept the trans people around her, but it's her loss. She's made her decision. Fuck her. Have fun in wizard hell, Joanne. It's so easy to not hate trans people. As for the streamer and his audience, I maintain the belief that his tweet was just a joke and was not intended to be used as an argument against Joanne, and it wasn't his fault that JK selected that tweet in order to highlight the basis of trans rights. I do believe that his audience being combative with trans people voicing their discomfort was unhelpful and the wrong thing to do, but on some level, I do understand why they would be so adamant in defending a streamer who has, I don't know, been in so many controversies that it just sort of builds up to the point where they go into everything at a 10. Finally, I think we as authors, streamers, and audiences need to care less about optics, especially when it's regarding discussions about trans rights, because that's what we should be focusing on. People like myself need to listen to trans voices on what to do in these situations, and instead of becoming king ally and yelling at the transphobes, it's better to redirect them to trans voices because they're the ones with the most expertise. My role in this video is to just tell you what I saw and to give you my opinion, and hopefully to avoid unnecessary drama. From here on out, it is up to you to decide how you want to engage with these discussions, but I'm hoping that if we approach it with patience and constructive criticism, I think we're going to be okay. I don't know, I got like a bad feeling in my head that the comment section's going to be rough on this one. I can't see it, you can. Is it bad? Is it rough? Oh, I'm probably just going to hit post and then throw my laptop like I just sent a risky text. But we gotta end the video sometime, so here we are. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Extra big shout out to my extra special patrons for supporting this video and, by extension, the channel. I am eternally grateful for you. I will be grateful in 10 years, and I will be grateful in 100 years. I will die, and I will be reincarnated as a tree, and I will still be grateful. And then I'll be paper. I hope you all can avoid discourse as much as you can. Like, if someone tries to pick a fight with you, just close your laptop and go take a nap in the sun like a kitten. I think that's my new go-to when it comes to internet fights. I don't know, just what a mess. I hope you're all able to take care of yourselves, and I hope you have a good week. I'll see you here next time. I love you lots. Bye.